Hey everyone, it's Fentony. His Dark Materials episode 4 has just aired in the UK. The title was Armour, which is obviously a reference to Yorick Byrnison. Yep, Yorick Byrnison's in the episode, and so is Lee Scoresby, two of the most popular characters in the entire series. And I've been waiting for Yorick for a long time. He's my favourite character from the books, and I must say on the TV show, I loved him. He looks and sounds incredible. The CGI and other effects have always been top quality on his Dark Materials, whether it's the demons or now the Panzerborns. And speaking of the Panzerborns, at the very end, Yoffe Ragnarsson, the king of the armoured bears, he looks terrifying. He was in cahoots with Mrs. Coulter in the books. She promised him that she would get him baptised by the Magisterium, and he wants to be like a human. We've been told that bears don't have a demon, their armour is their soul. I don't think this scene was in the books, but it definitely would have happened. Continuing from the first 3 episodes, there are a lot of new scenes that weren't in the books. I believe Lee Scoresby fighting in the bar didn't happen in the books. And honestly, I'm not too sure on him. He's kinda a bit too comic relief for me. But I think that'll change once we get to the big Lee Scoresby scenes later on, especially in book 2. You book readers know exactly what I'm talking about. He's played by actor Lin-Manuel Miranda. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but I'm not very good at pronouncing names. He's very popular, and I'm not familiar with him at all, but I can definitely see he's a good actor. His take on Lee Scoresby is very different than the books, and I think once we get to the serious stuff he's going to shine. The episode does reference the book Once Upon a Time in the North, which is basically how Yorick Byrnison and Lee Scoresby first met. And just like the reference from La Belle Sauvage in episode 1, when Lord Asriel carries Lyra through the flood, they've added a lot of extra material. It's quite similar to Tolkien, with his references from appendices and other books that expand the story in Lord of the Rings. Philip Pullman's second series, The Book of Dust, and his other volumes of short stories, they kind of expand his Dark Materials. I believe it adds a lot to the story, especially for those that have read the extra material. Outside of Lee and Yorick, Lyra's living up to her silver tongue reputation from the books. I've always been a fan of Daphne Keane as Lyra. She's definitely a good actor, and she does hold her own against older and more experienced actors. But I have seen some people criticise her. I've got no problems with criticism, and sometimes it's justified. But I think Lyra and Daphne are still very young, and they've still got big scenes to come. She's only going to get better. Northern Lights is pretty much her story, whereas future books, The Subtle Knife and The Amber Spyglass, follow a lot of other different characters. This is the first time since episode 1 where it's felt like Northern Lights, where it's felt like Lyra's story. It's great when you expand elements from books, or even make changes that benefit the story, but they need to keep the focus on Lyra, and this episode hit the nail right on the head here. As for Lord Borel, his world hopping is on hold for now, but he does go to the Magisterium. He's still on the hunt for Grumman, and his story's been expanded greatly, but I think it's best he took a break. This is a very busy episode of Lyra and the Egyptians, the introduction of Yorick and Lee, and of course Mrs. Coulter, and everyone else. And as always, I love Ruth Wilson as Mrs. Coulter. She's the best character so far, and every week her power grows, whether it's over the Magisterium or Yoffe Ragnarsson, who I must say, his armour looks menacing. Yorick's armour is pretty simple, and he made it himself, whereas Yoffe's armour is much grander, much more menacing, and I believe other bears made it for him. And remember, we are told the armour is like their soul, and I'm not going to spoil future episodes, but it's pretty obvious where the story's going with these two bears. We're going to see them clash. No James McAvoy this episode. I always look out for him in the credits before the episode airs. He was mentioned, and now he's a prisoner of Svalbard. Bolvangar was also mentioned, and that's where they're keeping the kids. This is where the story picks up big time, guys. The first 3 episodes are a lot of setup, and this episode's set up as well, but now the big payoffs are coming. Still waiting on Serafina Pekkala, and all the action that awaits Lyra, Yorick, Lee, and the Egyptians. And oh yeah, Dudley Dursley from Harry Potter, he's in this episode, and he's also in that new War of the Worlds which airs after this on BBC. He's had a very busy Sunday night. And speaking of Harry Potter, I've just made a new Fantastic Beasts video with the possibility that Hagrid might be in Fantastic Beasts. Check that video out. But I want you guys to let me know what you thought about episode 4 of his Dark Materials. Honestly, I think this was another great episode. Not sure if it's my favourite yet. Bit biased because Yorick's my favourite character. He's my boy. Usually when I try to describe this series to people that know nothing about the books, I say remember the Golden Compass film with the big polar bear. They have released an episode 5 teaser, and it's promising big things next week. I will cover episode 5 when it airs next week. I'm going to finish this series, love his Dark Materials. If you love it too, make sure you subscribe. And ring the little bell, turn the notifications on. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. Click here to learn about Lord of the Rings on Amazon being renewed for season 2. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.